Hi, my name's Becky, thanks for tuning in. In today's video I'm going to be telling you about a few things I've been making for my house and also my latest project for Minerva Crafts. So I've got loads to tell you over the next few minutes about what I've been crafting over the last few weeks. There's been a little bit of a gap since I actually filmed some videos, even though there was a video on my channel last week. I was on holiday then and now I'm back home, so I've been trying to get back into my sewing and whatnot. So firstly, I wanted to tell you about some things I've been making for my home actually. I don't normally make upholstery type projects, but I decided that, do you know what, my spare room needs a bit of a revamp. So starting with putting together some new curtains. So it's actually the first pair of curtains that I've ever made. So I was kind of just starting from scratch. I had no knowledge at all, and I was kind of thinking about it for quite a while, and I thought, do you know, I could spend ages looking on the internet, looking around for inspiration and also help. There's loads of tutorials out there, I'm sure. But I had a bit of a brainwave in the car on the way home from work one day, and I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to take down the curtains that are already up and use them as my template. So that's what I did. I kind of cut the lining out and then used the actual fabric that I already had as my pattern piece. And you know what? It actually worked out really well. So I'm going to put a few pictures up for you to see what I'm talking about. But I a while ago picked up some fabric from Cath Kidston online. They had a bit of a sale on, and I absolutely love Cath Kidston prints. So I was delighted to actually find some material that was in the sale that I could use for my curtains. So it's a blue cotton duck fabric that's got white spots on. As you probably know if you follow me on Instagram or you've seen any of my other makes, I absolutely love anything with spots. So yeah, these curtains are right up my street really. So how did I make the curtains? So what I did was, like I said, I used the original fabric as my pattern piece, and I literally cut my new fabric out with that. If I'm honest, the original curtains came down slightly below the radiator, meaning that all the heat got trapped in the sort of window area and it didn't come into the room. So I wanted to change that. So I made sure that I measured the window and got the right length for my curtains. I then cut out my cotton duck, which is the spotty fabric, and I also picked up some plain curtain lining from my local market as well. I made the curtain lining roughly 2 inches above my windowsill. The curtains run down just to the radiator area, so my lining sits just above that. There was a couple of reasons for that really. I thought the lining didn't need to be exactly long as the curtains, because really it's there to block out the light coming through the window and also help to keep the heat in. So that was one of the reasons, and the other reason was because I didn't quite have enough curtain lining fabric. But all in all, they seem to go well together in terms of the fabrics. I stitched the right sides together. I made a tab top for the curtains, which literally just runs along the top of the curtain rail. So I measured how long I wanted that to be, basically made my tabs, stitched those on my machine, then folded those into the actual fabric and stitched it all together, right sides together. Finished the whole thing then with my overlocker and then turned the whole thing through. So I literally ended up with basically one lot of sewing to do, which was, pretty cool really. I literally sewed up both of the long sides and then across the top, and that was it. So then all that was left to do was my hem. Yeah, I was really pleased with that really. It's given me a little bit of hope that maybe I should make a few other things for my house, because it's not really that hard. So if I can do it, anyone can. The next thing I wanted to show you, I actually had some fabric left over from my curtain project, so I made 2 cushions for the bed in the room as well. So I have them just here. So I basically decided to do an envelope style cushion rather than putting a zip in, just mainly because I like them and I've got plenty of buttons in my stash to use, so I thought, well, why not? So as you can see, I've got a little bit of cotton there. So I've used the cotton duck fabric on the back, and then for the front I decided to mix it up a little bit. I'd also got a little bit of this other Cath Kidston fabric left from another project that I was working on, so I mixed the two up together, and you probably can't see them too well actually on the screen, but I used these covered buttons that I'd had for a while. I picked those up from a shop called The Works. If you don't live in the UK, The Works is a bookshop that also has a craft section, so I think they work really well with these two fabrics. So that was that one. The second one that I made is exactly the same design, but I didn't have enough of those other buttons that I could find. I'm sure I've got some somewhere, but you know, it's like these things are so small, sometimes they go amiss. So I decided to use these other buttons that I'd got instead. Unfortunately, I've now realised, now I've sewed it all together and stitched my buttons on and whatnot, that actually the centre button is not exactly in the centre, but I've kind of thought, do you know, I could potentially make it again, although I don't have any of the spotty fabric left. But I think life's too short, so I'm sure nobody will probably notice apart from me, so I've decided to kind of let that one go, and if anyone mentions it, I could always say it's been it was designed that way or something like that. So, but I'm pleased with them anyway, and that's what matters. They are my cushions after all, so I'm going to be putting those up in my spare room for you know, when any friends come to stay perhaps over the next few weeks, so that's great. The next thing I wanted to show you was my latest Minerva Makes project. So I do a few blog reviews for Minerva Crafts, and they go up onto their website. So this time I made a Tilly and the Buttons Orla top. So it's the second time that I've actually made this top. I have it here just to show you. Just move those cushions out of the way. So here it is. So it's made out of the crepe fabric that I got sent, which is right up my street really, because again, it's got spots on. I love spots. So it's black and white. I think it's quite smart to look at really. I've been wearing it for work, I've worn it with my jeans. I really like it. As you can see, it's got a lovely kind of drape to it. It's really kind of floaty. It's got these kind of, they're not quite 3/4 length sleeves, but they're going in that direction. I really like them. They've got a little fold at the top, which could be gathered or kind of pleated like I've done, which I really like. So in terms of the changes that I made to the project, I lowered the neckline slightly at the front. I don't really like things that come too high on my neck, so just it's personal preference really. So I lowered that slightly. I can't remember how much I lowered it by, but I think it was roughly 1.5 centimetres, and then I changed the facing to match that. And I also made a slight alteration with the hem as well. It's supposed to have a hem facing, but instead I decided just to overlock the bottom of it and just turn it up and stitch it, which worked really well for me. But again, it's up to you what you decide to do if you've not made this project before. I also decided to include an exposed zipper at the back. So I really like these kind of lace zips. I've not used them too much, but I really should, because I really like them. So what I decided with this fabric was, because it's got black spots on, I was going to kind of emphasise that with my zip and include a black lace zip on the back. So I'm pleased that I did that actually. I'm going to try and remember to buy some more lace zippers at some point and use them for some of my other projects. Again, I'll pop a couple of pictures up on the screen so you can see me wearing the top, but I really like that actually, so I'm sure I'll probably make another Orla top or two as the months go on. So on the vlog next week, I'm planning to show you a denim skirt that I've made. I've basically taken one of my favourite patterns and turned it into a skirt when the original pattern was a dress. And the other thing I want to show you is one of my other favourite crafts. If you can call baking a craft, I'm not sure, but I really love to bake, and I particularly love to make anything that's quick to whip up on a weekend or after work and that kind of thing. So I want to show you one of my favourite recipes of the moment, so I hope that's okay from your point of view and you'll enjoy watching it. Yeah, until next week I'm going to leave it there, so until then I shall say bye for now.